like to, for your entertainment and pleasure, we've got one of the greatest entertainers of all time, right, Matt? All the way from Grinder Switch, Tennessee, Grand Ole Opera's star. You know what I'm talking about? It's Minnie Pearl, cousin Minnie Pearl.
Today. Yes, sir, it's a real pleasure for me to be here. You know, I can't help the way I look. When they was passing around looks, I thought they said books, and I said, give me a funny one. But you know, there was two handsome fellers out there when I was walking in, and I overheard one of them say, you know, I believe that is the ugliest woman I have ever seen. The other said, well, you know, she might be a pretty good old girl. You know, beauty's only skin deep. The other said, well, let's skin her. Said, I recognize that Minnie Pearl. Said, she's been up there on the Grand Ole Uproar for 175 years. Said, she acts like she's from the country. Said, I bet she ain't from the country. I know she don't even know a goose from a gander. I sit out there and grind a switch where I come from. We don't worry about that at all. We just put them all out there together and we let them figure it out for themselves. But you know, I tell y'all, this fella said something to me the other night that was kind of hard to take. Well, he didn't say it like I thought he should have said it. He said, I look like a breath of spring, and you know that always sounds good. He didn't use them exact words. He said, I look like the end of a hard winter. But you know, I ain't two-faced now. I have two-faced because I'd have wore the other one today is all I got to say. But you know, I got out there at the Columbia Airport to come over here today, and I was walking to my car. And this fella comes up to me, and he just puts a gun right in my face. He says he wants all my money. I tell him I don't have any money. He said, well, I'm going to have to search you. I said, you go right ahead and search. And you know what? He searched me all over real good. He says, you're right. You don't have any money. I said, yeah, but if you do that again, I'll write you a check. Well, you know, I was going to bring Uncle Nabob with me today, but bless his old soul, he don't ever get to go nowhere much. He ain't a failure, he really ain't. He just started at the bottom and he likes it there. But he's got this bad habit of dipping into the corn squeezings, you know. He says he does it to kind of steady his nerves. Sometimes he gets pretty steady because he don't move at all. But Aunt Ambrosie figured she was going to fix him. And how she was going to fix him was, she was going to get one of them Halloween false faces, you know, that all the little young'uns wear. She doesn't really need it because all our family favors. And she was going to get a sheet, and she was going to hide out in the bushes where she knew Uncle Nabob would be coming along. Sure enough, along about midnight, Uncle Nabob come weaving up that driveway, you know, and he come up there by that bush. Aunt Ambrosie jumped out and said, boo! I am the devil. He said, well, shake hands with me because I married your sister. He'll be all right when he gets out of the hospital next week, is all I got to say. But you know, I remember the first time I took Brother to town. Now, he was a little feller back then, and he had these spots all over his face. And all the little fellas was running from him. And finally, this little fella comes up and says, what's the matter with him? does he have the smallpox? I said, no, he doesn't have the smallpox. We just been trying to teach him to eat with a fork. But I tell you, I took Brother down to Nashville the other day to see if I could help him get a job down there at the employment office. And I took him in, and the lady interviewed him and everything and said, brother, I believe we got just the job for you. You're going to start out making $500 a month, a week, not a month. He said, and in 5 years, you'll probably be making $1,000 a week. Brother jumps up and says, I'll see you in 5 years. Oh, but you know, we have a good time around where I come from in Grinder Switch. We sure do. But I want to sing y'all a little song right now. It's called How You Catch a Man. Randy, you don't have to play this time. And it goes a little bit like this. Now, when a handsome fella smiles at you, what harm can a little flirting do? And if he steals a kiss, well, don't get sore. Remember, honey, you got plenty more. How to catch a man, how to catch a man. Girls are always asking me, how do you catch a man? Catch him while you can with a mini pearl plan. Here's a little tip on how to catch a man. Hog time! Tell him this and keep a straight face, hon. Tell him two can live as cheap as one. Promise him anything and you will find that after you're married you can change your mind. How to catch a man, how to catch a man. Girls are always asking me, how do you catch a man? Catch him while you can with a mini pearl plan. Here's a little tip on how to catch a man. Get a bear trap. Well, you know, last year about this time, I had a chance to go over to Hawaii, to Pearl Harbor, to do a benefit show over there. And we got over there, and everybody made us feel so much at home. In fact, one fella said I was the homeliest thing he'd ever seen. No, they were really great, but we had a good time, and y'all know they got these dresses over there they call moo-moos, you know. They got a yoke right here, and they just hang straight down. I tried on one of them things. I looked like a mama kangaroo with everybody home. Well, you know, my figure is my fortune. I just got my money invested in the wrong places. I got an hourglass figure, but it's later than you think because the sand's done shifted to the bottom somewhere. But you know, they got over there, they got a dance they call the hula. Now, while I was over there, I couldn't do it. But when I got back to Grinder Switch, I got in front of the mirror and I practiced. And you learn how you do it. You tie a bunch of hay around your neck and a bunch of oats around your waist. And then you just rotate the crops. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. Well, you know, I want to bring y'all all the latest news from Grinder Switch because you see that's where I'm from. And Miss Orson Tugwell, she's the lady that's got all them little young'uns. She's got at least 16 of them, you know. And she was washing one of them in the room one day, and the phone rang in the next room, and she went in to answer it. And when she came back out, the little fella was gone. And she knew he was running around in his little birthday suit. And about that time, she heard a noise out on the back porch. She said, "Is that you out there running around without your little panties on?" This gruff voice comes back, says, "No, ma'am, I'm just reading your light meter." She's so embarrassed, she's thinking of switching the gas. But all her little young'uns was playing in the back pasture one day, and it's where they teach these fellas, you know, to bail out in the parachutes. Well, the plane flew over, and the fella bails out, and he lands right in the middle of all those little young'uns. They went running, hollering, screaming to the top of their lungs. Oh, mammy, pappy, come quick. The storks done come dropping them full road. But you know, Miss Tugwell's got this bad little young'un now. His name's Herkimer. And Herkimer's bad. But she took him to church with her last Sunday, and right in the middle of that preacher's sermon, he fired off a cap pistol and scared everybody in the church half to death. Well, Miss Tugwell jumps up, yanks him up, and starts out the door with him. This little lady runs along behind. She said, "Don't you spank that child." Said, "He scared the devil out of more people today than the people at church has in the last 10 years. Well, you know, how many of y'all been to these parties where they play kissing games? Come on. Raise your hand. Well, I went to a party the other night, and y'all, there was some old girl there. Now, she kept hollering all night long, "Let's play kissing games. Let's play kissing games." She kept hollering it. My throat was so sore the next morning. But you know how you play kissing games, don't you? A fellow draws a circle in the middle of the floor, and the girl steps in. He's either got to kiss her or pay a fine. I made $90.34. One old fella didn't have no money. He tried to take it out in food stamps. Well, I ain't been kissed in so long. I don't know whether it's done by drawing in your breath or blowing it out. And they say kissing carries germs. I sure have spent a lot of healthy evenings in my life, is all I've got to say. But you know, we had a couple there in Grinder Switch that celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary. And that night when they got ready to go to bed, the wife says to her husband, "Honey, do you remember what the first thing was you done 50 years ago tonight?" He said, "No." She said, "You gave me a kiss right here on my cheek." He leaned across and kissed her on the cheek. A little bit, she says, "Well, I know you remember the second thing you done." Said, "Nope, I sure don't." Said, "You gave me a great big hug." With that, he reaches across and gives her a great big hug. Then she says, "If you don't know what all those other things were, I know you know what the third thing was you done 50 years ago tonight." He said, "Nope, sorry, don't." He said, "You bit me right here on my ear." With that, he jumps up and he starts across the room. She said, "Honey, what's wrong? What's the matter?" He said, "I gotta go get my teeth." You know, we have a bed and breakfast in there in Grinder Switch, and all the newlyweds come there for their honeymoon. And on this particular occasion, 3 couples arrived at the same time, and they all came down the next morning to eat breakfast together, and you could tell they were somewhat nervous. That first groom said to his bride, "You pass me the sugar, sugar." Second groom said to his wife, "You pass me the honey, honey." That third groom said, "You pass me the bacon, pig." You know, I tell y'all, we have a good time in Grinder Switch, and we had a revival here recently in our church, and everybody in the church, you know, takes that preacher home for dinner or lunch that day. And on this particular day, the couple lived way out in the country. So they sent the little boy along so they wouldn't get lost. And on the way there, the preacher says, "I bet you don't know what we having for dinner today." Little boy said, "I bet it's chicken." Little man said, "I bet it." The preacher said, "I bet it's chicken." Little boy said, nope, it's buzzard. Said, I overheard my mom and dad talking this morning. Said, we got to have that old buzzard one day for dinner, so it might as well be today. Well, you know, this little boy came in from school here recently. His mom said, son, what kind of day did you have at school today? He said, oh, Mama, we had an awful time. Said, well, you tell me what happened. Said, well, my teacher was up there teaching, and a little mouse got loose in the room. Said, this little mouse ran here, and this little mouse ran there, and this little mouse finally ran up my teacher's dress. And you know what, Mama? I bet she squeezed over a quart of water out of that tiny little mouse. Well, you know, Miss Lizzie Tinkham and I went to downtown Nashville here recently, and we went shopping down there, and it was kind of a windy, blustery day. And we came out of that department store down there, and a big gust of wind comes along and blows Miss Lizzie's skirt right up over her head. Well, Miss Lizzie grabs her hat. This young fella comes strolling by and said, lady, you should have grabbed your skirt instead of your hat. To which Miss Lizzie replied, fella, what you're looking at is 75 years old. The hat's brand new. Well, you know, I had a chance to go out to California here recently, and I wish y'all could have come with me and seen some of the dresses those girls almost had on. Well, you know, I didn't even go swimming last summer because I didn't have a hole in the elbow of my bathing suit. Those girls, some of them had on what Uncle Nabob calls a strapless, sort of a filmy dress, you know. It surrounds the property, but it doesn't obstruct the view. But these girls out there, they got me this here date with this California fella. Oh, he was so eligible. He was breathing. Well, they got to be breathing or I won't move. But you know, he was the skinniest fella I ever saw. If he hadn't had an Adam's apple, he wouldn't have had no shape at all. But we decided we'd make a secret twixt us girls how many times we'd been kissed the night before by the number of times we said morning the next morning. Whew, it was so romantical. That first girl comes down, she says, good morning this morning. She got kissed twice. Second girl comes down, good morning this morning, pretty morning this morning. She got kissed 4 times. Woo! Then that third girl comes down. She says, good morning this morning, pretty morning this morning. Gonna be a pretty morning in the morning, in the morning, in the morning. Y'all know what I said when I come down, don't you? Howdy! But y'all, isn't it something how everybody's trying to get slim these days? I had a next door neighbor who went on a diet here a while back. Now, she didn't eat nothing but coconuts and bananas. She didn't lose any weight, but she can sure climb a tree better than anybody else. But Miss Lizzie Tinkham, the old maid at Grinder Switch, she's lost so much weight they got to starch her underwear to hold her up. But she called up the fire department the other night. She said, oh, fire department, you have got to come quick. There's a man trying to get into my upstairs bedroom window. Said, Miss Lizzie, you don't want the fire department, you want the police department. She said, no, I want the fire department. He needs a longer ladder. You know, Miss Lizzie said when she died, she wasn't going to have nothing but women pallbearers. I said, Miss Lizzie, why you gonna do that? Said, if a feller can't take me out when I'm living, he sure ain't gonna take me out when I'm dead. Well, y'all, I will tell y'all about my feller Hezzy. You know, he's got a heart of gold and a set of teeth to match. Now, he's cuter than a blue-nosed mew, and I ain't gonna trade him in because they don't make them like him anymore. But you know, he told me I better be careful when I came off down here to Sandy Run today. So, I'm gonna show you, if the fella grabs a hold of me, what I'm gonna do to him when he does.
You're looking hot.
That's recorded, you know.
Yeah, no.
But y'all, I do remember the first time my fella Hezzy ever kissed me. And how it happened was, we were coming home from meeting one night in a horse and buggy. Now this goes way, way back. You can't beat courting in a horse and buggy. That horse knows where he's going. But we come up there by the churchyard, and he pulled that horse up, and he looked over at me, and he said, Minnie Pearl. That's my name, that's why he called me that. He said, anybody ever related to me is buried out there in that graveyard. Someday I hope to see you buried out there too. I didn't know what to say, him proposing to me like that. And that's whenever he kissed me. And he went to tell the horse to get up, and he went like this. And I got in the way. Woohoo! He kissed me all right. I thought every hair on my head was a harp, and somebody was playing a different tune on every one of them. But I'm going to sing y'all my song about my fella. It's called My Feller. And it's one of my favorite songs, and it goes a little bit like this. My feller ain't the kind that's tall and handsome. He's just as ordinary as can be. He can't sing and he can't dance, but he wears a pair of pants, and that's good enough for me. He's not so good at idle conversation. He never whispers love words tenderly, but he fills me full of joy. He's a treasure. He's a boy, and that's good enough for me. I'm proud, proud, proud of his muscle. I'm proud he's so tall and so slim. I'm proud, proud, proud of his curly hair. But most of all, I'm proud he's a him. He stands there looking stupid when I squeeze him. Then he starts to blushing painfully. He's so bashful, it's a sin. But he's still a M-A-N. And that's good enough for me. You remember, I remember the first time that Uncle Nabob ever rode an elevator. He said he got on there, he was a little feller back then, and the guy on there slammed the door shut and shot him up to about the 6th floor and turned around, realized he looked kind of pale. He said, what's the matter, buddy? Did it scare you? Uncle Nabob says, no, I always wear my pants down around my ankles. But we do have a good time there in Grinder Switch and always have fun. But Miss Lizzie and I, we decided that day we went shopping that I was going down to the perfume counter in that store. And I walked in, and the sales lady was showing me the different kinds and telling me the names of all of them. One was Desire, one was Night of Love, one was Passion Flower. I asked that sales lady, ain't you got nothing for a beginner? But I got me some of that Cologne, and she told me what to do. She said, if I put a dot behind my right ear, a fella gonna grab a hold of me and hug me. If I put a dot behind my right ear and my left ear, he's gonna grab a hold of me and hug me and kiss me. Y'all know what I'm gonna do, don't you? I'm going home and pour on the whole bottle, and I'm gonna wait for the stampede. God bless you. Thank y'all. Thank you so much. I love y'all, each and every one. I got a lot of people to thank today for so many things. I want to thank Randy for coming and playing. You know, I've known Randy. I've known Randy since he was a little kid, riding my school bus back in the day. You remember that? Oh, I remember. And all, but I want to thank the church for allowing me to have this here. And also, I want to just thank Winnie and Rennie Pendarvis for the beautiful, beautiful roses they sent me, and for Gerald and Dana for those flowers that you gave me too. I appreciate that so much. And I told you I was going to forget somebody. But I want to thank my family. Y'all mean so much to me, and see so many of you here today makes me feel very special, and I appreciate it more than you know. And I'll have to tell you a little bit about how I started out doing Minnie. Every summer, our dad would load us in that old Ford car. He didn't have anything but Fords. It was Ford truck, Ford car, Ford tractor. That's all he would purchase. And he would take us on a trip somewhere. And 2 times in 1951 and 1953, when I was 10 and 12, he took us to the Grand Ole Opry, to the Ryman Auditorium there. And we would stay in a motel at night. Y'all not gonna believe this. 1941, it was 50 cents a night to stay in a motel. Of course, that was after the war and the Depression and all that at that time, but we could all fit in the car, couldn't we, Claude? We always did it, and we had a good time. And each time we went, there was Minnie Pearl on the stage with Rod Brassfield, and we would just go up there, and she was laughing and cutting up and having the best time, and I decided, you know, I think I might like to impersonate her if I can. So anyway, so that's what I did. I started, and I asked my mother if she thought my grandmother, Mama Alice, would make me a Minnie Pearl dress. Well, let me show y'all something. This is my first pair of pantaloons. I was 12 years old when I started doing Minnie, and my grandmother made these, and my dresses were all made out of chicken feed sacks. How many of y'all know what chicken feed sacks are? You know, they wear out, they would fade out well before they would wear out, and that's what, but this is the only thing I have of the remnants of my dresses from early times, but these are treasured because these were made by my grandmother and everything. But I just put some memorabilia up here on the table, and through the years, I'll be 85 next year, and I will have performed her for 72 years, from 12 to now. And I have,
and we're so honored that you chose this time and this place to be with us.
thank you.
From the women.
Thank you. Beautiful. Y'all see that? Gorgeous. Thank you. Awesome. But Minnie's meant a lot to me. It's opened so many doors for me, and I think I got more out of performing than possibly the audience got when I was finished. But I would start out, you know, in little places like 4-H club, community clubs, centers like that, and started, and it just grew through the years. And I think I quit counting at 4,539 times that I had done it through the years. So that's a lot of times, but it was wonderful, and I enjoyed it and all that. And I have to tell y'all something about Minnie Pearl, too. You know, she was one of 4 children, and she always wanted to be a great dramatic actress. She was born in Centerville, Tennessee, and as she grew up and she went off to college and did all these things, and you know, God put her in the world for a different reason. He put her here so we would laugh through the years with her, and laugh we have, and that's very special to me. But she was always so sweet and kind, and I'll have to tell you how this happened with the $1.98 tag on the hat. She was touring in April with a vaudeville show and needed new flowers for her hat because she was just introducing Minnie Pearl to the world at that time. And she put those flowers on and went out to perform that night, and while she was out there, the tag fell out. So, as you say, the rest is history and everything. But she started going to the Grand Ole Opry in 1940, and she always wanted to one day be a part of the Hall of Fame for the Grand Ole Opry, and it took her until 1975 before they inducted her into the Country Music Hall of Fame, and she was the first comedian that did that, and I'm not sure, I think Rod Brasfield came after her, but she was the first one. But you know, Minnie Pearl always said, this whole world don't laugh enough, and we need to look for the humor in every situation, and there's humor to be found everywhere. And I want to read you something. She wrote her autobiography in 1972, and this was in the last paragraph of her book, and it really means a lot to me. People always ask me, where is Grinder Switch? Gerald, you found it for me, didn't you? It's just a little railroad trestle is what it was, but it came very famous. As I grow older, the place is no longer a little abandoned loading switch on a railroad in Hickman County. Grinder Switch is a state of mind, a place where there is no illness, no war, no unhappiness, no political unrest, no tears. It's a place where there's only happiness, where all you worry about is what you're going to wear to the church social, and your fella's gonna kiss you in the moonlight on the way home. Minnie and I wish for all of you a Grinder Switch. Thank you, and God bless you each and every one for coming. Thank you. Thank y'all.